Were you able to find my treasure? Cypri asks. This is all we found, says Melanie, withdrawing the ragged doll. Cypri's eyes widen as soon as he sees the doll, and he reaches out to take it. Without breaking his gaze away from the doll, he begins to speak. Cypri tells you he gifted this doll to his young daughter a long time ago, but she fell gravely ill and died. Since then, Cypri has treasured this doll as he treasured his daughter. Then the monsters took it from him. Cypri turns to Melanie, his head bowed deeply in gratitude. So you reclaimed the treasure by complete accident. You step closer to Cypri. So, the reward's cash, right? You rudely inquire. Oh, I haven't 2 coins to rub together, says Cypri with a great belly laugh. Instead, he offers knowledge. Far to the east of town is a place called Unionville, where monsters and humans live together in harmony. According to Cypri, you might be able to learn something there, as the dragon and monsters are not totally unrelated. Upon hearing that, you turn on your heel to leave. Cypri calls out to stop you. Journeying to Unionville entails traversing the dense expanse of the bewildering wood. You'll need this, he says, and holds out something for you. You won't make it through the bewildering wood without it, Cypri says. Your sights set on the distant Unionville, you resolve to navigate through the bewildering wood. Apparently, the woman is being harangued by some man who keeps asking her out. I don't know how many times I have to tell him he's just not my type, she sighs. Now that she's reunited with her stolen skin medicine, the woman couldn't be happier. All thanks to the heroes from the Ivory Order, she says. A huge smile on her face, she begins applying the medicine all over her skin. Well, if it isn't the head of the National Inn Association's son, the innkeeper blurts out, overcome with surprise. You've clearly been mistaken for someone else, but the innkeeper looks so excited that you dare not burst her bubble. Your room is free. The party leaves the inn feeling rested. Gradually become aware of a voice calling out to your party. Looking around, you spy an old man, a traveler like you, perhaps, stuck in a hole and flailing wildly. You yank the old man free. Oh, while you're here, would you mind taking me to Nexton, he asks. It seems an old friend of his lives in Nexton, and he'd like very much to see this chum. He says he'll make it worth your while. Will you show him the way to Nexton? You ask the old man about himself. It turns out he belongs to a wealthy family. Visions of lavish rewards begin to dance in your head. You offer him safe passage to Nexton. wealthy old man looks considerably relieved as the party sets foot inside Nexton. He reaches into his pack and hands you a pouch full of gold. "This is to be your reward," he says. The next instant, he takes off for the center of town, shouting, "I shall be there soon, my love." With no particular business, you take your leave. And fight. Fortune favors the bold. You pick up a scrap of paper dropped by some manner of monster. It has a message scrawled on it in crude lettering. Clearly, whoever dropped this message did not want to forget where the stolen treasure is hidden. You stash the scrap of paper in your pack and resolve to keep an eye out for the treasure on your travels. Trees bearing very solid-looking nuts whip to and fro in the force of the gale. This doesn't bode well for you. One of the nuts flies off the tree and smacks you right on the head. The pain brings tears to your eyes. Come across two men sitting on a rock. They take no notice of you or the party, but you can hear their fervent discussion. You listen in and deduce that they are a pair of thieves. You lean in, trying to hear what else the thieves are talking about. You catch pieces of the conversation here and there. I hid the goods. Head south just before the bridge. No, whatever ye do, don't go into the bewildering wood. It sounds like they've just told you where to find their stolen loot. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. You spot a loitering monster. These monsters are a common sight, but you've never seen one move quite like this before. You can't not fight such a unique monster. Eagerly, you draw your blade. Let's do this. Something's catching the sunlight just so. You move closer to get a better look at it. You find a chest lodged in the hollow of a tree. Something about this feels familiar. You fish a note out of your pack. Sure enough, this is the location those thieves mentioned when you were eavesdropping. Quite convinced you've found their stash, you open the chest with a self-satisfied smirk on your face. At your sudden proximity, a pair of eyes jerk up, startled, to meet yours. They belong to a monster. It falls over in its shock, then scrambles up and flees in terror, leaving behind some coins. A thick fog impedes your vision. You surmise this is in no small part why they call it the Bewildering Wood. Many a brave soul has set foot in this wood, only to be swallowed up and never seen nor heard from again, the traveler intones gravely. They also tell of a certain tool one needs to get through this place. A message is written on the sign. Seek out the force Stela hidden deep in these woods. About the enemy. That was lucky. Excellent. You hear a beautiful melody flowing from the forest depths. It sounds like singing, or perhaps bird song. As if drawn in by the voice, you head deeper into the forest, where you find a woman playing a stringed instrument. "Why won't the right words come to me?" she laments, her fingers stopping on the strings. Hearing her sigh, you offer to help her with her song. "Very well then. Please finish this verse," she responds, then begins to sing. Imitate Mars' mule, but the woman just tilts her head to the side in confusion. You pity the poor soul for not comprehending the sheer cuteness of your dear companion. In the end, you gain nothing from the exchange and leave the woman to her song. You have found the northern stela. It doesn't look particularly special. You resolve to touch it anyhow. The next stela is, you hear someone murmuring. It sounds like a man, but you can't really be sure in these woods. fight. Your body is soothed by the gentle tone. It feels as though your fatigue has somehow washed away. You have found the southern stela. You smack it and hear a sound off to the west. You'd best head that way next. You have found the western stela, which you swear up and down was not here when you came in. Nevertheless, you give it a smack. Nuts fly off the trees and smack you and your friends right on the head. Everyone's faces screw up in agony. Let's do this. Excellent. You have found the Eastern Stela. You see the words Melody of Fortune chiseled into the corner. You have investigated all 4 of the Stela and the bewildering wood. You hear a sound, and it's not all that far away. Nice work. in the stela. The message carved into the stela reads, "Play in tune with the forest." You hold the woodland flute you received from the good doctor in Thriston. Doot 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 doodly, doot 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 doo. You blow a handful of pleasant enough notes into the woodland flute. You soon become aware of accompanying percussion, which reveals itself to be a series of impeccably timed footfalls racing toward you. A young woman appears before you. "That was absolutely dreadful," she whinges, her jaunty gait betraying her enjoyment. She calls herself Ridis and declares herself a woodlander, resident of the bewildering wood. By sheer coincidence, the flute on which you played those notes was one designed to call the woodland people to your side. Stunned by your good fortune, you ask Ridis to lead you eastward out of the forest. What luck! She agrees far more readily than you ever anticipated. But, she continues, extending her hand, you'll have to hand over the woodland flute first. "That'll cost you 1,000 gold pieces," you say smugly. "Ugh, it's always about money with you travelers," she snorts derisively. Her face contorts in disgust. She reaches into her cloak. "Hey, what about my money?" you stammer. Before you can finish your thought, Mar's tongue whips across your hand, snatching the fruit and sliding it into his gullet. Ridis gasps. "How could you let him do that? Just one of those fruits sells for 10,000 gold pieces," she shouts. "So you can pay me back for the fruit your little friend stole, or you can hand over that flute," she says, pressing her case. "I think you've lost this one," Melanie says, snickering. You look down at Mar, who seems quite pleased with himself. "I suppose I have," you sigh in resignation. You begrudgingly hand the woodland flute to Ridis. Ridis plucks the woodland flute out of your hands with glee and begins playing it as she skips away. Well, playing is a generous term. It sounds as though she may as well be murdering the poor thing. Ridis makes it clear that the fastest way out of the woods is through woodland, where she lives. "It's that-a-way," Ridis says gleefully, pointing past the stela before you. "Welcome to Woodland," Ridis says, gesturing out over the village. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm quite busy for the rest of the day, so you'll have to wait till tomorrow to leave the forest," she says, and makes her way home. "Welcome to the Forest Oasis," the man greets you warmly. You happen upon a man greedily guzzling well water. Could it truly be that much better than ordinary water? Apparently she's heard rumors of the dragon destroying another town somewhere. Our village would burn down so easily, she mutters, perhaps a bit more afraid of the symptom than the cause. You learn that Ridis's family is mired in debt and living hand to mouth. And I know how they got in so much trouble, the rumor mongerer says deliciously. We are not in the business of meddling in the personal affairs of others, Melanie says curtly, cutting her off. This shortcut is reserved for use by woodland citizens only, the guard barks, clearly unwilling to let you pass. You take note of a woman who appears quite ill. As it turns out, she is none other than Ridis's mother. She is in no small amount of pain. Will you give her something to ease her suffering? The item you've proffered has no effect on her illness. But I appreciate the thought all the same, she says with a smile. Ridis's mother hands you mysterious card 3 as a token of her gratitude. She begins speaking of Ridis, who has been preparing the medicine that helps her get through the day. She blames her illness, and therefore herself, for making Ridis's life so difficult. The more she talks, the more her face drops. Ridis pores over a book while practicing on the woodland flute. She remains dreadful at it. The instant you begin speaking, she nearly leaps out of her skin and hides the book. She somehow hadn't noticed you. I thought you were the debt collectors. You can't sneak up on me like that, she stammers, struggling to regain her composure. Been a while since we've had any outsiders, the innkeeper says, beckoning the party inside. It turns out this inn is simply a place where the poor, lost souls trapped in the bewildering wood may recover. You may stay as long as you like, free of charge. The wooden dining table practically groans under the weight of the platters upon it. all brimming with meats and vegetables from the bewildering wood. "I've certainly earned this," you say to yourself, as you slide into your seat at the table, positively drooling over the feast before you. Melanie takes no note of your boorish behavior, uttering a small prayer of thanksgiving before reaching for a plate of vegetables. Mar sits, eyes fixed on the food upon the table, statuesque in his stillness. What a good boy. Mar clears the entire table in a matter of seconds, even emptying the water barrel in a single gulp. He lets out a self-satisfied burp that sends a small jet of just-drank water arcing out onto the floor. The sun sinks low, and the day draws to a close. A scream pierces the silence. "Fire!" You leap out of bed, adrenaline coursing through your veins. The others follow suit, and before long you've burst through the front door and into the street. Riddis's house is ablaze, a nearby villager screams. "My mother is still inside," Riddis shrieks, darting past you to fetch water from the well south of the village. Riddis is gathering water in an attempt to fight the blaze all on her own. Melanie tosses a nearby bucket into the well and hauls it up by the rope. But she hasn't the strength to raise a full bucket out of the well. She releases the rope and examines her raw, reddened hands. None can say she did not try. Mar's eyes light up. He scrambles over the edge of the well and sucks the well dry in an instant. He pokes at his swollen belly and gestures toward Riddis's house, as if to say, "Get me back there, quick." "Quickly, put it out. You have to put it out," Riddis screams at Mar. Mar douses the house with the water he sucked up from the well. The fire is reduced to mere embers, and all is well. Or so you think. Something darts out from behind the house and attacks. I was lucky. The fiery beast dispatched, you return to putting out the last of the blaze with Mars' help. Ridus's mother, now safe, tells you the creature came out of nowhere and set the house aflame. What would bring a creature of fire to a place like this, you wonder? Light breaks on a new day, and the commotion of the fire feels but a nightmare. You lead your party to Ridus's house to ask for safe passage out of the bewildering wood. Though spared from complete collapse, Ridus's home has been thoroughly scorched. Ridus's mother tells you she was once deceived by a crooked merchant and plunged into debt. Ridus has been working to repay the debt ever since her mother took ill. You lightly press your thumb and forefinger to the corner of each eye, a mixture of sadness and anger swirling within you. Ridis sits alone in one of its rooms, the air thick with the smell of char. There shouldn't be any fire creatures for miles, she grumbles. She says the monster appeared while she was playing the woodland flute last night. As to why any monsters, let alone fire monsters, appeared, well... Despite the circumstances, you ask Ridis to lead you out of the bewildering wood as promised. I did promise that, didn't I? She says wearily, rising from her seat. The poor girl is clearly still in shock. Why do you want to venture out beyond the bewildering wood anyway? She inquires, as she gathers this and that in preparation to leave. We are in search of the dragon, you say valiantly, adding, the reward will be significant should we defeat him. Honesty is the best policy. Sounds like a real risky way to make a living, she replies flatly, feigning interest. A group of Ivory Order people came through here just the other day, she explains. You connect the dots with malice. Those three. You seethe. At last, Ridis is ready to depart for the edge of the bewildering wood. This road takes you to the east side of the bewildering wood, but you'd be hard-pressed to find your way without a woodlander's help, the guard warns. Upon seeing that Riddis is with you, he steps aside and lets you through. The eastern portion of the woods certainly does not want for thick, soupy fog. You turn away, ready to lead the party deeper into the bewildering wood. Wait just a moment, you lot, calls the voice of an older man from somewhere behind you. Riddis appears to be familiar with him. She calls him Mr. O. Here you are, young lady, he says, handing her a slip of paper. Oh dear. Further, Mr. O explains, Riddis did not have a fire insurance policy at the time of the conflagration, and so she shall have to pay in full. I'll thank you kindly to pay by the end of the month. Bye now, Mr. O says, receding from view as he returns to the forest. Hee, Riddis lets out a bemused chuckle, her demeanor remarkably calm for what has just transpired. She pulls the woodland flute from her cloak and begins softly playing. Riddis's ear-splitting performance, shall we say, draws monsters out from behind the trees. Within moments, they are nearly upon you. That's odd. I must have made a mistake, Riddis says, burying her face in her old book once more. She opens the book to a particular page and thrusts it in your face. You can't tell anyone in the village I let you see this, okay? It's a page of sheet music with a note scrawled beside it that reads, "Play this lucky tune to reverse your financial fortunes and make money woes a thing of the past." No matter how many times I played this last night, our debt never went down, she fumes, incensed. You inspect the page a bit more carefully. Off in a corner, in letters so small as to be illegible, another message reads, "May summon monsters if played incorrectly." You finally see that so long as Riddis holds the flute, this is nothing more than a monster conjuring melody. You snatch the woodland flute from her hands. "You have lost your flute-playing privileges," you inform her. But I'll never escape from this mountain of debt without it, she cries, clearly still believing in the melody of fortune. Melanie quietly opines that while Riddis is many things, bright is not one of them. As you listen closely, you are struck by a sudden dizzy spell. You sense a presence growing closer, but cannot react. The grass rustles, then a monster slowly shows itself from between the blades. It's a harpy. Realizing you've been caught in the harpy's trap, you ready your weapons. About the enemy. For some time after that, you find yourself trembling at the mere sound of a bird's tweet. Nice work. Here, Ritis chirps, pushing overgrown boughs and shrubs aside. As she does, a hidden path out of the bewildering wood comes into view. At last, you are free of the bewildering wood. Praise the power of the woodlanders, you squeal in admiration of Ritis. She giggles bashfully. You've certainly kept your promise, you say. Thank you for showing us the way. I was hoping I could join you on your quest to defeat the dragon, Ritis suddenly blurts out. She takes out her old book and thrusts another page in your face. This week's creature of fortune is the dragon. Boons may befall those who encounter him. Melanie's jaw goes slack. What is the deal with this book? Melanie asks, bewildered. I can probably pay off my debt if we can just defeat the dragon, Ritis chirps, revealing her true intentions. No, I won't dilute my share of the riches any further. No more additions to the party, you bark. Have you no heart? Are you just going to leave a young, helpless girl like me to drown in an ocean of debt and deal with that crusty old man? Ritis fires back relentlessly. I want to go. No. So goes the endless chorus of your thoroughly unproductive argument. Melanie calmly reminds you that the party in its current form stands little chance of defeating the dragon. See, you need me, Ritis says, sensing an opportunity. Your well-reasoned argument of no thwarted, you nod your head in resignation and welcome Ritis to the party. You are surprised to find a merchant selling goods in a place like this. You decide to take a look, and the merchant welcomes you energetically. You're in luck. I have some rare items for sale, she remarks, lining up some goods before you. She begins closing her shop, saying she needs to stock up on wares again. It seems you won't be able to do any more shopping here. Oh? A bizarre rock appeared. It seems primed to explode. The bizarre rock transformed into a fear rock. The only way out of this fight is through it. Good work. Don't hold back. Excellent. An armor-clad knight stands, exuding an extraordinarily powerful aura. The knight faces you and asks, "Might you be challengers?" But after sizing you up for a long moment, his shoulders slump and he mutters, "No, you are not yet ready." "Grow strong, young ones," he says, then returns to standing in silence. It appears he awaits a stalwart warrior to challenge him. About the enemy. Let's do this. You come across two men sitting on a rock. They take no notice of you or the party, but you can hear their fervent discussion. You listen in and deduce that they are a pair of thieves. You lean in, trying to hear what else the thieves are talking about. You catch pieces of the conversation here and there. Listen about that loot. Head south from the harbor and cross the mountains. It sounds like they've just told you where to find their stolen loot. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. Let's head to Unionville first, shall we? Let's do this. Excellent. Though a torch is not strictly necessary, it would certainly help you find your way through the dimly lit shrine. Excellent. Nice work. You did great. You see something approaching from up ahead. A monster, Melanie shouts, readying for battle. Mr. Flobby, get back here. It's dangerous out there, a young girl chides, taking the creature back to the village. It seems you've finally arrived at Unionville, a village where humans and monsters live together in peace. What a weird place, remarks Riddis lightheartedly. I like it. We aren't staying a moment longer than necessary, says an unsettled Melanie, her distaste for monsters plain on her face.